Dubai. Just half a century ago, it was a small fishing port whose life revolved around pearl diving and the spice trade. Today, it's a global metropolis, a symbol of luxury and excess, but also one of the biggest logistics centers on the planet. Yet the secret of this success isn't only the skyscrapers and sail-shaped hotels. The real secret lies a few dozen kilometers from the city center, where the desert meets the ocean. That's where Jebel Ali port was built. When, in the 1970s and 80s, the sheikhs decided to build a port in the desert, many considered it madness. Why build a new port when Port Rashid already existed in Dubai? Why invest billions into colossal infrastructure in a place where there was nothing but sand and hot air? The answer was simple: ambition. The Emirates didn't want to be just the world's gas station. They wanted to be its warehouse, its crossroads, its great hub. That's how Jebel Ali came into being, the largest man-made port in the history of the Middle East. Massive infrastructure, hundreds of cranes, container terminals, a free trade zone, everything designed from day one as a tool to attract global business. Today, the port handles over 13 million containers a year and ranks among the 10 largest ports in the world. But the most important part of this story is something else. Jebel Ali is not just the port of Dubai or of the United Arab Emirates. It's a global gateway where goods from China, Europe, Africa, and India intersect. This is where the routes that now form the new version of the Silk Road cross. And that's exactly why Beijing has, for years, looked at Dubai as a key element in its grand puzzle. For China, Jebel Ali is more than just a port. It's a foothold in the Gulf, a place through which it can control flows of goods, build influence, and gain advantage in a region long dominated by the US and Europe. And for Dubai, it's the greatest opportunity and the greatest risk. By opening up to Beijing, Dubai is entering a game whose stakes go far beyond logistics. Jebel Ali today is not just a port, it's a metaphor. A symbol of a place that rose from nothing to become the heart of globalization, and an arena where China, the US, and the Arab world are playing for the future of the entire region. When people talk about Dubai, most picture Burj Khalifa, luxury hotels, and artificial palm-shaped islands. But the foundation of the Emirates' power isn't tourism or even oil. It's Jebel Ali Port, the piece of infrastructure that turned Dubai from a fishing settlement into a global giant. The story begins in the 1970s, when Dubai's rulers decided that if they wanted to be more than just a transit point for oil, they had to bet on maritime trade. Port Rashid, though modern, quickly became insufficient. Then came the decision. A new port would be built, bigger, deeper, capable of handling the world's largest container ships. That is how Jebel Ali was born. It was a project without precedent. The world's largest artificial port, built from scratch in the desert, dozens of kilometers from downtown Dubai. Millions of tons of sand and rock were moved to create a gigantic harbor basin. Terminals were built that from the beginning were designed with containers in mind, the very symbol of globalization. The result? Today, Jebel Ali is the largest port in the Middle East and the 9th largest container port in the world. It handles around 13 to 14 million TEU per year, connecting Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas. This is where goods from China arrive before being distributed across the region. From here, containers are sent on to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, but also to Africa and the Indian subcontinent. Jebel Ali is not just a port, it's an entire economic ecosystem. Around it grew Jebel Ali Free Zone, JAFZA, a free trade zone where more than 8,000 companies from over 100 countries operate. It's a place where global corporations set up their distribution hubs, because from Jebel Ali they can serve the entire Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and a slice of Europe. What's more, the port has been managed strategically from the start. This is where DP World was born, one of the largest port operators in the world, now managing not only Jebel Ali, but also terminals in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Thanks to Jebel Ali, Dubai gained global reach. It became a player in logistics on par with Singapore or Hong Kong. And that's why Jebel Ali is something more than infrastructure. It is the symbol of the Emirates' transformation. It's thanks to this port that Dubai could free itself from dependence on oil and become a center of services, trade, and finance. Without the port, all the skyscrapers, malls, and hotels would be just a facade. With the port, they became part of a global system in which Dubai truly plays a key role. And into that system, a new player stepped, China, which for over a decade has looked at Jebel Ali as its gateway to the region. It is Beijing that now gives the port a new dimension. No longer just Emirati, but global. If Jebel Ali is the beating heart of Middle Eastern logistics, China has been trying for years to pump its own blood through it. For Beijing, this port is more than a transshipment point. It's the gateway of the maritime Silk Road to the Gulf, and from there to Africa and Europe. The first sign of Chinese presence was the arrival of the largest state-owned shipping lines, COSCO Shipping and China Shipping Container Lines. Their container ships began docking regularly in Dubai, making Jebel Ali one of the main nodes of Chinese trade in the Middle East. Today, practically every major vessel from Shanghai, Shenzhen, or Ningbo has Dubai on its route. The next step was partnership agreements. Chinese firms didn't limit themselves to sending ships. They started investing in the terminals themselves. Under projects linked to the Belt and Road Initiative, Beijing signed deals with Dubai for the expansion of port infrastructure, including the creation of dedicated terminals for Chinese lines. In the background, loans and capital flowed. Chinese banks helped finance terminal modernization, and Chinese logistics firms started moving their distribution centers into Jebel Ali Free Zone. As a result, hundreds of Chinese companies now operate in the Free Zone, from logistics giants to electronics and clothing manufacturers. We cannot forget the political dimension either. In 2018, Dubai and Beijing signed a strategic agreement under which Jebel Ali was formally integrated into the Maritime Silk Road, the sea-based component of the new Silk Road. That made the Gulf port one of China's key global nodes, alongside Gwadar in Pakistan, Hambantota in Sri Lanka, and Piraeus in Greece. From Dubai's perspective, this is a slam dunk. China provides a steady flow of containers, investment, and international prestige. From the region's perspective, however, it also shifts the balance of power. The more deeply Jebel Ali is woven into China's trade network, the more it becomes part of Beijing's bid for influence in the Gulf. And here the question arises, will Jebel Ali remain Dubai's port, or will it become a Chinese logistics beachhead in the Middle East? Because while on paper it belongs to the Emirates and DP world, in practice, without Chinese ships and investments, its role today would be much smaller. It's clear, Beijing is not only trading with Dubai, it is anchoring itself there. And it is doing so the way it always does, container by container, contract by contract, loan by loan. If you look at a map of global trade, Jebel Ali appears as a gigantic node where all the main routes converge. This is where Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Indian subcontinent meet. In practice, any container ship sailing west from China sooner or later passes through the Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf, and Jebel Ali is a natural stopover, a transshipment port and distribution center for the entire region. From China's perspective, this is critical. Goods from Shanghai, Ningbo, or Shenzhen sail to Dubai, and from there, they fan out in 4 directions. North, to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Iraq, south to East Africa, especially Kenya, Tanzania, and Ethiopia, west to Egypt and through the Suez Canal onto Europe, east to the Indian and Pakistani markets. Without Jebel Ali, this puzzle wouldn't fit together as smoothly. It is here that goods are sorted, repacked, consolidated, and dispatched. It is here that Chinese containers meet goods from India, Africa, and the Middle East. The port has become a global crossroads that enables Beijing to implement the maritime component of the Silk Road. Jebel Ali doesn't operate in isolation. It is part of a larger system. The Al Maktoum International Airport, one of the biggest cargo hubs in the world, and the huge free trade zone, JAFZA. Together, they form what you might call a global trade factory. A container arrives by ship, is repacked, passes through distribution centers, and the next day can be on a plane bound for Europe or Africa. That's why Jebel Ali is priceless for China. It's not just a port, it's a logistics nerve center for the planet. Thanks to it, Beijing can deliver its products faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than via other routes. And in the world of globalization, whoever controls logistics controls trade. But Jebel Ali is also a space of rivalry. Because if China builds too strong a position here, the question is, how will other powers respond? The United States, which has treated the Gulf as its backyard for decades? India, which sees Dubai as its natural commercial hinterland? Europe, whose main link to Asia runs through the Suez Canal. For now, Dubai is balancing skillfully, selling its services to everyone. But the more firmly China anchors itself in Jebel Ali, the more the port becomes not just a trade node, but a geopolitical point on the map, which means its future will be shaped not only in tonnage and TEU, but in political deals between Beijing, Washington, and the region. Jebel Ali doesn't exist in a vacuum. Across the region, a port rush is underway. Every Gulf country wants to be a trade gateway. Everyone dreams of becoming the world's logistics hub. Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, all are investing billions in their terminals, trying to knock Dubai off its #1 spot. Saudi Arabia is betting on the ports of Dammam and Jeddah, as well as ambitious projects linked to the Neom megacity. Riyadh wants to be more than just an oil exporter. It sees itself as a hub between Asia, Europe, and Africa. Billions have been poured into new container terminals and digitalization of logistics processes, yet Jebel Ali still attracts more traffic because it has the advantage of long experience and the reputation of a trusted global brand. Oman is building its ambitions around Duqm Port, an investment backed by both China and the West. Duqm's strategic location outside the Persian Gulf gives it a geopolitical advantage. It is not dependent on the Strait of Hormuz. But so far, it lacks the scale and prestige that Jebel Ali has built over decades. Qatar, in turn, has focused on Hamad Port, opened in 2017 to reduce dependence on Dubai after the diplomatic crisis and blockade by its neighbors. Hamad Port is growing rapidly, handling more and more containers and gaining importance, but it is still more of a national port than a fully fledged global hub. Despite all these challenges, Dubai maintains its lead. Why? Because Jebel Ali is not just a port, it's a whole ecosystem. It has the Jafza Free Zone, Al Maktoum Airport, DP World's global experience, and a network of connections others are only starting to build. It is like comparing a mature organism with a newborn. Others are just learning to crawl, while Dubai has been running marathons for years. But the pressure is mounting. Every country in the region knows that logistics is the future. Oil will eventually run out. Containers will keep flowing. That's why the Saudis, Omanis, and Qataris are investing harder and harder, and Dubai must defend its position. Here another player enters, China. Beijing is not putting all its chips on one square. It is investing in Jebel Ali, but also in Duqm, supporting Hamad Port and signing contracts with the Saudis. In the long run, China is not loyal to Dubai. It wants a grip on the whole region. That's why the port race in the Gulf is more than logistics. It's a struggle over the region's economic future. Whoever wins will be the new Singapore of the Middle East. Whoever loses will remain just a local port in the shadow of its neighbors. For now, Dubai is in the lead. But history teaches that in the Gulf, no one gives up. And every success of one country becomes the benchmark for the ambitions of another. And when China joins the game, the balance of power can shift faster than the tides in the waters off Jebel Ali. Jebel Ali is Dubai's pride. Thanks to this port, the Emirates became a global center of trade and logistics. But the larger the scale, the greater the risks. A port that handles millions of containers becomes not just a place of business, it becomes a geopolitical arena. The first shadow is dependence on China. Beijing has become Dubai's largest trading partner, and Chinese logistics and investment firms are increasingly rooted in Jebel Ali. That gives Dubai strength, but it also ties the port's future to the Chinese economy. What if China slows down? What if global tensions hit maritime trade? Dubai cannot afford such a scenario, yet it has no control over it. The second shadow is the game of great powers. For decades, the U.S. has treated the Gulf as a strategic zone. Washington views China's growing presence in Jebel Ali with suspicion, all the more so as the port handles not only containers, but also military equipment. Every Chinese contract, every new terminal linked to Beijing is a warning sign for the Americans. China is anchoring itself in the heart of the Gulf, a region the U.S. considers its own. India is also entering the game. For New Delhi, Dubai is a natural partner and market. Millions of Indians work in the Emirates, and goods from Mumbai have been shipped to Jebel Ali for years. But the stronger China's presence in the port, the more India sees it as a threat. If Dubai becomes a Chinese gateway, India will lose part of its influence in the region. The third shadow is local rivalry. Saudis, Omanis, and Qataris have no intention of letting Dubai monopolize logistics. Every new port in the region is a potential blow to Jebel Ali. Dubai leads for now, but the race is on, and any mistake could cost it the top spot. And finally, there is the issue of security. A port handling 13 million containers a year is vulnerable to smuggling, sabotage, or cyber attacks. In an era of global tension, a logistics hub is not just an asset, it's a potential target. And the more closely Dubai ties itself to China, the more it becomes part of a game in which the stakes are global power balances. That is why Jebel Ali is both blessing and curse. It is the foundation of Dubai's might, and at the same time, a source of risk that could decide the future of the entire Emirates. A port that rose from desert and sea now stands at the crossroads of the interests of three giants: China, the US, and India. This reveals the true face of globalization. On one hand, the port brings wealth and development. On the other, it forces Dubai to walk a tightrope between alliances, rivalries, and dependencies. In such a game, every container is not just a load of goods, it's a piece of politics. When Dubai announced plans to build a new port in the 1970s, many wrote it off as madness. Desert, no tradition of big shipping, limited resources. This was supposed to be the capital of pearls and spice trade, not a global container hub. Yet, it was precisely here that something arose which changed not only the Emirates, but the entire Middle East. Today, Jebel Ali is more than a port. It is a metaphor for Dubai, a place that created power from nothing. From desert and sea emerged an organism that handles thousands of ships, millions of containers, and hundreds of thousands of people every day. Thanks to Jebel Ali, Dubai was able to move from oil to trade, from modest settlement to global financial and logistics center. But the port is also proof that globalization always has another face. Jebel Ali no longer belongs solely to Dubai. It contains a Chinese presence, containers, terminals, loans. It holds an American shadow, military hardware, contracts, security interests. It bears an Indian imprint, millions of workers and goods shipped from there. In a sense, Jebel Ali has become a miniature of the world, a place where global interests intersect within a few square kilometers. Every container that arrives from China is not just cargo. It's a fragment of the global political puzzle. Every ship departing for Africa or Europe carries not only goods, but also influence that shifts the balance of power. Dubai has gained enormously, but it has also paid a price. The port that was meant to be a source of pride has also become a stage where global conflicts play out. Today, Jebel Ali is Dubai's port in name only. In practice, it is an arena of competition between Beijing, Washington, New Delhi, and the Arab world as a whole. And this raises the question, can Dubai really control the creature it created? Can the port that conquered the desert avoid conquering Dubai itself? For now, Jebel Ali is a symbol of success. But if history teaches us anything, it's that every empire built on trade must eventually confront a fundamental question: who actually controls the flow of goods, the hosts or those who arrive by ship? Jebel Ali began as the dream of one emirate. Today, it is the beating heart of global logistics. And perhaps the greatest paradox of Dubai, a place that gave it power and at the same time made it dependent on the shifting winds of geopolitics. Once upon a time, caravans of camels passed through Dubai. They carried spices, textiles, and pearls bound for markets in India, Persia, and Africa. Today, the caravans still exist, but instead of camels, there are container ships. Instead of pouches of spices, thousands of metal boxes. And instead of desert sand, ocean waves. Jebel Ali Port is exactly that kind of 21st century caravan. It's the place where the old world of trade meets modernity, where Middle Eastern tradition has transformed into a global machine. Every container crossing this port is like a contemporary caravan tent, filled with goods, but also with dreams of profit, influence, and advantage. And yet, just as in the days of the old caravans, it's not only about trade, it's about power. Back then, whoever controlled the spice routes controlled the world. Today, whoever controls Jebel Ali holds a piece of the global economy in their hands. Dubai built a port that conquered the desert and pulled it into the great power game. Just as in the past, the fate of caravans lay not in the hands of merchants, but rulers, today the fate of Jebel Ali is decided not only by the Emirates, but also by Beijing, Washington, and New Delhi. Jebel Ali is a symbol of our times, a caravan on water that never stops. But the question is, who really holds the reins of this caravan? And is Dubai, which set it out into the world, still leading, or merely following the direction set by others?